make sure you grab different color spray paints, different size thread edges, and everyday household items like cups or lids. My name is Arturo Lopez, and I created Spraycasso Studios back in 1999. I have then continued to show people diverse ways of creating master paintings in just a few minutes using nothing more than just spray paints and everyday household items. The beauty of this art is that you don't have to have a steady hand or know how to draw. All it requires is a little bit of imagination and some dedication. So join us, and you too can become a Spraycasso master. I will walk you through diverse techniques of creating beginner level paintings, intermediate level paintings and techniques, advanced level paintings, and we'll take your skills even further to master level paintings. So if you guys are ready to embark into a new art adventure, then grab your spray paints and materials. Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Spraycasso show. In today's episode we're going to be talking about advanced layering. I know I've talked about this in our previous level tutorials such as beginner and intermediate. Let's take that a step further today. Okay, so we're going to start off with maybe the sky layer, right? So I'm going to use a little bit of gray. Yes, this is my actual spray paint brand. It should be coming up here pretty soon. We were having some issues with the labels, but I think we've covered that. Anyways, we're going to start using a little bit of gray. We're going to cover that with a little bit of blue. And this is just doing quick sprays, guys. Now, this is going to be a very basic background scene, right? We're going to create our sky, obviously. We're going to add maybe a little bit of red. I like this transition of colors that we're using here. It kind of gives it a very, I don't know, it reminds me of a snowy day, you know, kind of the same type of colors. So what I'm going to use next is a little bit of yellow. Make sure you always shake your cans before every use. And clear the tips. Definitely, if you clear the tips, you'll get a much better spray. If you have a dirty tip, guys, if you have a dirty tip, it's just not going to come out as good. Alright, so we added a little bit of yellow here on the sky. I think we have some pretty nice colors going on. What do you think? This is something that when you add your layers, your overlapping layers, your background is not going to look just completely white, you know? I've seen a lot of spray painters do that mistake before. So make sure if you know what you're going to do. In this case, I have an idea. I didn't start off thinking exactly what I wanted to paint, but I knew what I wanted to teach you guys, right? And so in this case, it's advanced layering. Okay, I added a little bit of yellow here on the bottom. This is going to be our ground. I'm going to do a transition with a little bit of orange. Okay. We also have brown, so I'm going to use a little bit of brown. Just here on the very edges. You don't have to cover the whole thing brown, guys. Alright. Just like that. Put that back. Now I'm going to show you guys a very advanced technique that I used, that I created to make my trees more realistic, because when you're competing with oils or acrylics, you know, your trees have to be pretty realistic, guys. So I added quite a bit of yellow in my Spraycasso funnel, and then just a tad of brown. You don't want to add a lot of brown, because then you're going to turn your light yellow into like a light peach color brown. Okay, so you don't want them to mix very well. So don't shake the funnel either. Just put them on there and then straight to painting. I'm just pouring the paint into our canvas. Now I chose these colors not because they make the most realistic trees, obviously, but because they'll give you a very good, you'll be able to see the great detail in them. And I know that you lose a lot of the quality when you're recording. Even though I'm using a high definition camera, you still lose a little bit of that detail. So I'm using some pretty bright colors and then brown so that you can actually see how the streaks move here on our tree. Again, guys, I'm just pouring onto the canvas. And I just know I'm going to hear this again. By canvas, I mean poster board. It's actual poster board, guys. It's pack on poster board. You can actually go to Crayola, and you know that works just as good. It's real glossy on one side, it's matted on the other. I know I get this question a lot. All right, so can you take a look at that detail on the trees? You actually combine the two paints and it creates a very realistic bark effect. Okay, let's do another one right over here. I'm gonna create a couple of trees here because I want you guys to see how the paints combine. And yes guys, you know, this is my own brand of spray paints. It's taken a while to make, but you know, I wanted them to work a certain way. I wanted them to mix a certain way. I wanted, you know, the volume of the paints a certain way. I'm my own worst critic, so you know, sorry it took a while guys, but here they are. They should be coming up on the website anytime soon. Alright, now I'm gonna add a little bit of black, and yes, by a little bit I mean quite a lot. Look at that, it's a whole streak, for crying out loud. Alright, well, this is where the spraycasso tool is gonna come in handy. Now check this out. I'm combining the yellow and the black. Just very lightly, I'm letting the paint do most of the mixing. I'm just guiding it with the tool. Alright, so I'm just gonna go up and down a couple of times. You can actually use, this is another form of the wet and wet technique, except we're not scratching, right? Usually the wet and wet would put our colors down and then would cover it with the neutral. This is a little bit more advanced guys, and it'll give you a very realistic looking tree. And that's what this tutorial is all about. I'm out to show you guys, you know, you can use more realistic colors such as brown. I would use a little bit of yellow, and you know, when you combine the two you'll get a light shade of orange. But remember, for this tutorial guys, brown, yellow, and then I went ahead and I mixed in some black just to get some of those extra darker areas, more realistic bark, right? Okay. Now I've actually had this this comment. In fact, today somebody was asking me if I could do more basic tutorials. You know, back to space sceneries, back to just quick. Let's go outside and paint. You know, make some extra cash. Yes, I will definitely do that. I actually have a couple tutorials on that. Look at the effect on that tree. Now tell me that's not, you know, very realistic. That's definitely hard to believe that you can create this with spray paint. And of course, you know, you could always add a few more shades of brown in there. Make that tree that's coming off to the right look like there's actually a shadow in there. And I will get to more basic tutorials. Somebody said, you know, I really love the fact that you're doing gallery style tutorials. That's awesome, that's great, but I'm not quite there yet. Can you please step it down? Yes, I will definitely do that. You know, I'm trying to keep in mind all the fans. We do have some very advanced painters out there, and I'm very proud of several of them. Tom Sprayer, Spray Paint Creations, good friend of mine. If you guys haven't seen any of his work, go check it out. Some of these guys, their work, you know, is just outstanding, and so I gotta keep throwing new techniques at these guys. But yeah, I do have in mind making some more space sceneries. Somebody actually commented that they wanted to see a Spider-Man. Yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that. Alright, now what I'm doing here is I'm just mixing a little bit of brown and some orange together. And what this is gonna do, guys, this is just another layer, you guys know this. I'm gonna try and give the effect of shadows. Perhaps maybe even a little bit of a dirt slide. You know, it's maybe a little bit muddy. You'll see what I mean by shadows. You see there on the ground? Well, this technique I've done a couple of times to create the effect of shadows on the ground. You know, tree leaves, tree trunks. You'll see that come in. Now here I used the grass technique, created some trees in the background, bits and patches of grass here. Now here I'm just adding a light source. You guys remember how to do this? Make sure you aim at the straight edge and not at the painting. And then I go ahead and spray on the painting. Well, you can spray on the painting to hide all the dots of the flash. Then I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was spraying and then I was backing away. That gives it a very nice glowing effect. Alright, so far we've done several layers, right? We've done the trees. Now these trees, I since they're kind of colors that I wouldn't usually use on trees, I'm going to make this layer of trees, even though it's very detailed, I'm going to make it into a background layer. Guys, when you're going to compete with some of these professional artists out there that are using oils, and you want to do that. You don't want to make your trees very colorless, very detailless, for lack of better words, in the background. You want your trees in the background to be just as detailed as the trees in the front, guy. So here I'm going to create some tree leaves. Now I'm using yellow and white, and then as I get further away from the light burst, it's gonna turn darker. So I'm adding green to the mixture of paints. So as closer to my right as I get, or closer to my left, notice how the tree leaves are gonna get darker. And this is a form of transition as well. Just using a sea sponge. That's what I'm using, guys, sea sponge. Try and stick with the natural stuff. I've noticed that the fake sea sponge has quite a bit of a pattern to it. You guys don't want to use that. Here I'm adding a little bit of yellow just to kind of emphasize that the light is hitting these trees. Now I'm not using white because I want the background not to be really white. I want it to have some color to it, so that's why I chose yellow. Now notice these trees here on this layer. This is brown and black, guys. I went ahead and I sprayed some brown into the funnel, and then just a few sprays of black. Not enough to make it into a dark brown, and also not enough to mix them together. You want the two colors to stay separate. Okay. Now notice on this tree that I'm making right now, I just noticed it's a little bit more orange than the one to the left. You can always go back and add a little bit of black to kind of make the two trees the same color, Or look what I'm doing here. I added a little bit of that orange to the tree on my right, to make the trees more the same color. Okay, now here I'm just gonna add another branch. Now remember, guys, it is important if you're gonna compete professionally to have the background to be just as detailed as the front ground. Here I added a little bit of white to my trees. After I added the layers and made my trees look realistic, I added more white onto them. Remember, on the background we used yellow. On these I used white. I want to make sure that the viewer can see the difference between the two layers. Okay, now here I'm just using green. And I do believe it's dark green. I think I added a little bit of green and then black to it. And these tree leaves are closer to us, right? So there's not as much light hitting them, so they're gonna be darker. And I want some of these tree leaves to overlap the light layer that we put. Okay. Now once you add your trees and your bushes here on the bottom, as I'm doing, I'm adding highlights. You can use a little bit of white and yellow together, or just yellow. In this case I used a little bit of white and yellow. Okay, this is just black here on the bottom. I'm kind of fading the painting in. I want to create some bushes here, but I don't want to go into all the detail of creating every strand, every tree bush, or tree leaf, I mean tree bush. That's a new word. I like making up my own words. Alright, now here on the side, notice I already have the black there. I'm going to spray a little bit of green, and just along the edges. I'm just tapping along the edges, adding the effect of a bush or tree leaves or whatever you want to make there. Whatever you do, guys, add highlights, and please don't scratch the highlights on a painting like this. Take the time, add a little bit of yellow to it. And by the time you guys are done, this is what it should look like. I hope you guys use this technique. Definitely experiment with it. Now you know how to create more realistic trees. You've taken under consideration some shadows that they may be taking place. And look at that detail. Alright, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, email me or Facebook me. Alright guys, until next time, keep those cans shaking.